United stands therapy forum as Manchester United crash out of the Carabao Cup as Spurs beat Manchester United they tried their best to let us go through, but Spurs beat United just 4-3. Huge game, lots of goals, a lot of mistakes. Too many sloppy mistakes from Manchester United, but I think it's a lot clearer now what players Ruben Amorim needs to build with and work with, and what players just simply aren't good enough and need to go. Ruben Amorim was talking before the game saying he wants to win the Premier League, that is his aim. What players do we keep to build on that project? What players just simply have to go in the mass clear out that we feel is coming? We're going to go through a huge sweepstake of the team, keep or sell, ruthless edition. We need your help with also breaking down the game as well. I am joined with Kevin and Ricky. Guys.
Kevin, all right.
Kevin.
Yeah, very informal.
Full name today for you, Kev.
Why not?
I mean, starting off, we didn't want to go through anyway, did we? It's only a little tin pot cup.
Who cares about a trophy that's got 3 handles, though?
The one thing I would say, Ricky, is under Erik ten Hag, we did go very far in the cup competitions, and we did win 2 trophies, domestic trophies. He always pushed that out. But what you would say, oftentimes the football was turgid, and it was a tough watch, and a lot of the time we wouldn't be the better team, and we'd managed to get through. Whereas with Ruben Amorim, what we are seeing is a development in performance, and it is up for grabs with that many individual mistakes. Can you say with a better team? But the overall team performance is improving. That's one thing you can take away from it.
100%. I thought we were easily the better team in the first half and came in at half time 1-0 down. What was the first goal like? No, that was a mistake, wasn't it? I can't remember.
There's that many of them.
Goals. But
the first goal, the keeper palmed it back in. He should have really palmed it wide.
He should have done better. And obviously, we give it away cheaply just outside our own box, which led to a free kick as well. There was 2 or 3 mistakes that led to that goal. So, apart from a couple of mistakes there, for me, we were comfortably the better team in the first half. And then what happened at the start of the second half? I think they scored twice in about 10 minutes, didn't they?
Martinez mistakes.
You would think then that the game was dead, but we did claw our way back into it. It made it, pretty exciting, didn't it? But like you said, there's too many errors for us to really sit here and say we were a better team. But for long periods of the first half and for some periods of the second half, quite a long period in the second half, really, when we got it back to 3-1. They could hardly get the ball off us. So I thought overall we played pretty well, but like you say, too many errors.
This is the thing for me. People won't want to hear it because people will be frustrated that we've lost the game, and it is frustrating, obviously, not getting through. We can banter saying it's only the League Cup, but we wanted to get through. We wanted to win, and it was frustrating not to win. But the one thing I would say is I can see foundations with Amorim.
I agree.
I can see glimmers of hope, and I can see a direction that we're going in. We had Erik ten Hag for 3 years and we didn't see that. Do you know what I mean? So even though we've gone out, which is frustrating, Amorim is clearly coaching better team performances. However, and this is why we're going to do a huge keep or sell at the end, you can't coach individual quality. Do you know what I mean? You can't coach individual errors. We've got too many people in that team that just haven't got the quality. You can coach a team performance, and our team performances are improving. We're having a lot more of the ball, a lot better patterns of play. We're getting in better positions. The team performance is better, but we get to the final third, there's a lack of quality if Ahmad's not there. There's individual mistakes at the back if you don't have Dalot. It's just, we do need to improve the quality of our players overall. Would you agree with that, Kev?
I do, totally. I think there's probably an argument now that we've been beaten, then you can look and say from the Manchester derby, 5 changes to the starting 11 was probably too many. I know we're going to go through this list in a bit, which I am looking forward to. But again, Ricky says about individual mistakes. You've got Bayinda, who's been quite vocal in saying that if you don't play me, I'm going to be gone in January. And on that performance, as harsh as it sounds, I'm sure there'll be some people saying, well, see you later, mate. We're not missing out on much there. Again, Tottenham could probably argue that Forster, made mistakes as well. But it did seem to be a game of mistakes. And the annoying thing was Tottenham are that team that when you get back within a goal, we've given them a 3-0 head start in theory. To get back within that goal, to lose the one that went to 4-2 was kind of a sucker punch. And I said it in the van cam, earlier on in the day, it's Spurs lads, Sir Alex Ferguson used to always say that. They still have that mentality where they will creak, and we nearly did it, but nearly isn't good enough. I do think it was far too many changes. I'm sure individually we'll look at individual performances, but even like players like Anthony, where you think, you've been given a huge chance this evening and, failed to impress big time.
Do you think, Ricky, it's becoming more clearer who are the players that you can work with and who maybe does need to be shifted on?
Probably, yeah. I mean, he's going to have it. Obviously, I don't know the manager's opinions, but it's pretty clear, really, who's good enough and who's not good enough. But I mean, when we go through that later, you've got to bear in mind that it's going to be slow progress. We're not going to. Well, I don't think that we're going to sign 4, 5, 6 players at the beginning of next season or in the January and the summer window. So you have still got to have a squad. You can't just wholesale lots and lots of players and leave yourself without a squad. And obviously we can't. It's very, very unlikely that we can challenge or make a serious challenge for the league title next season. But we do want to finish in the top 4, and loads of these players are good enough to finish in the top 4. And if you finish in the top 4 and you're in the Champions League, that helps you to attract the players that you want. So it's like stepping stones, you know what I mean? So some of these players, when we get to it, I'm going to say to you, he might not be good enough to win the title, but he's good enough to finish in the top 4, and that's the first target. And
it all depends on who we offload. We've heard this week that Garnacho and Rashford could leave for potentially 100 million. That's a lot of money. You talk about PSR and how United are going to have to adhere to that, which they will have to do. But that is a lot of money. You say there might not be that many changes. There could be some, like we will go through it obviously, and it is interesting. But going back to that question as well, I think already 100% Amorim knows the players that he can count on already. In such a short space of time, I think he's given players a chance today that it's backfired massively, and it's a wake-up call to him. You can tell he's cut a frustrated figure on them sidelines, and that's because at Sporting Lisbon he had the team all singing from the same hymn sheet. He doesn't have that here, so that's the frustration. But I'm sure that the deeper-rooted frustration will be that he's given the likes of Anthony, players like that, not just singling him out, but a huge opportunity to say this evening, right, why should I be picking you? You go out there, perform this evening, and on Sunday, you're in my kind of thinking for the starting 11, but it's not happened. So I think he'd be more disappointed with the people that he's given opportunity to that have actually they've let him down, really.
Kev, do you think in the quarter-final of a cup, you should be playing a keeper that's only had a couple of appearances for United?
No. And let's give
it's okay to disagree with the manager. We love Amorim. We think he's going to do well, but it's okay to disagree with him at times.
Yeah, exactly. But I go back to the thing. The Binder one is the fact that he's the one that's been vocal, saying, if you don't play me, I'll be gone in January. So he's been backed into a corner slightly. But again, he will have seen him in training. I'm sure he hasn't made as many mistakes as he has this evening, probably in training. So he might have looked and thought, this is an easy one. I'm certainly going to give him a run out. But it's still a trophy. It's a quarter-final of a cup, however you look at it. But you have to give the kind of mistakes that he's made the same energy that if Onana was in there and Onana makes that mistake this evening. I know he made one against Nottingham Forest, but you have to give it the same kind of energy, don't you? Because if that was Onana in that this evening, front and back page of whatever newspaper tomorrow would have been all on Onana and all this and that. But I don't know. It's even the last one, you can say, should as a defender, or who was it that's kind of held his hand or whatever, and you look at it, and to be done from a corner like that, you've got to command your box. I'm
going to be honest. I was watching Mark's beforehand, his final score beforehand, before we went live, and he was talking about how, it should have been a foul on Binder. It might just be me. When I watched it, I thought that's super soft. I think the keeper has to be stronger in that scenario. I'm going to be honest. I don't think we can try and complain and say that, you know, if VAR was there, it would have overruled it. I think Bayern has to be stronger. That's the one I'm probably most frustrated with. The first one palms it into the path of obviously, who was
Solanke,
it who scored?
wasn't it?
Solanke that scored. Yeah, it's not great. He should have palmed it wide, but the defence should have been quicker off the heels, and also we shouldn't have given the free kick away in the first place. So that one I can kind of allow, even though he should have done better. He should have done better. The second one, I thought he looked shaky all night. I'm going to be honest. Whenever he's played, I've always thought, I don't think I rate him, to be honest with you. And if he wants to go in January, Tom Heaton, thank you very much. Everyone who has been calling, get Bayern in, you've not seen him play. Now you have. Would you be comfortable in playing instead of Onana? No. It
made me appreciate a bit more Onana playing out from the back as well, because there was a few instances early on. I know he was shaky, but where he's just put the ball straight out of play, and you could tell he's looking for his left wing back, his right wing back, and you kind of look at things like that, and it does make you. They always say, you know, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, but in this sense this evening, anyone that tries to say that, you know, Andre Onana isn't Manchester United's number one is absolute madness. I know he is prone to the odd mistake, fair enough, whatever, but you know, even playing out from the back, like I say, it's chalk and cheese when you look at a game at the weekend against Manchester City, a team that you know are going to press, and when you want to try and beat that high line. Onana was absolutely pivotal to that. He was back in May in the FA Cup final as well.
I mean, it wasn't just Bayern. I mean, let's be honest, their keeper, you know, gave us a couple of goals, and you've got to give credit to a couple of our players for, you know, hunting down the ball like Ahmad and stuff. We'll get on to that. But it wasn't just Bayern. When we talk about individual mistakes, Ricky, Martinez was at fault as well. I mean, I know you've never been the biggest fan of Lisandro Martinez, but if you've been watching the shows, guys, I have actually said for a number of weeks now, and he's a fan favourite, Martinez. I've always really liked him. I thought in his first season with Varane he was fantastic. But I'm going to be honest, he has been poor for months now, and I've said it. Ever since he came.
He had a cracking game at weekend.
Yeah,
everybody did.
Ever since he came back from his injury, he's just not been himself. The derby, I sat on here after the forum and I said that was the Martinez that I love. He was fantastic against City, fantastic. But again today, I'm sorry, but when he's defending in the box like that, or even down the channel, he looks super suspect. Players can get past him like there's nobody, but like he's not even there. And it's just decision making on the ball. Fantastic. He put a ball through to Garnacho in, I think it was, you know, in that like that 10 minutes towards the end when we're trying to get a goal back. That was superb. But out of possession, he just looks like a bit of a liability. Do you think, Ricky?
At times, for sure, yeah. Like I just said, he had a great game at the weekend, but tonight too. You know, beaten too easily, pushed off the ball too easily a few times. You know, Solanke's goal, just beaten far too easily. I know Johnny Evans gets back to help him and the shot goes through Johnny Evans' legs, but people will say, oh, he's just defending Johnny Evans, he likes Johnny Evans, but Martinez is the one who's fronting him up and trying to hold him off. He's got to shake Martinez off, and Martinez has got to hold him off until Johnny Evans gets back round, and it's just not quite long enough because he holds him off, but Evans is only just back and he's more or less just turned and he gets his shot off, and Evans has got to try and block it. He goes through Evans' legs, the shot. I think it's definitely on Martinez more than it is on Evans. He's just trying to get back. He did have
a great game at the weekend, like you say. I mean, still fresh in the mind is the kind of pass for Ahmad, you know, for that goal, and you think,
fantastic.
You know, there's other defenders
in
there.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's other defenders there that aren't really capable of seeing and threading a pass like that. But I do think more long term when you look at the defenders that are there. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I was surprised that Harry Maguire didn't start today. You know, you think of how he's played recently, and I'm thinking of when you play in that three at the back, you do look. I think we missed Dalot this evening. I think that's quite easy to say, but you know, Dalot, Maguire, Yoro, players like that are a little bit different to Martinez, and I don't know.
I thought Yoro played great tonight.
Yeah, I do as well.
It sounds mad when we've let 4 goals.
I do. But when you're looking at that back, you start to look at how that back three is going to shape up and what he's going to go with. All of a sudden, you've got players around there that are actually kind of putting it in, and you kind of look at Martinez and you think, I'm kind of worried for him. I know you've just said he's a fan's favourite, and that only gets you so far, you know, in football. You know, you can't not be putting in performances. I get all this Argentina and all this, and you know, the butcher, and he gets the fans going. That's fair enough, but you need to be doing it on the pitch. You know, you only need to look at Marcus Rashford as a fan's favourite.
Well, there's only so long you can go on for. Like I said, you know, fantastic against City, and people are saying that, but everyone played well against City. Do you know what I mean? Like, Maguire's had fantastic games. You know, there's other players that have a fantastic game. The thing is with Martinez, when he's starting every single week, which he is, I need to see consistent performances, and he's not been performing at the levels we expected for a while. Out of possession, he has been suspect.
Yeah.
A lot.
You can't just put it down to this evening, because you could say, well, the centre-back pairing, the three that played at the back, they've changed it massively tonight. So in Martinez's defence, you could say, well, he's trying to get used to playing with two different defenders to what he was at the weekend. But as you rightly say, this isn't just one game in isolation this evening. You know, yes, he played well at the weekend, but this season, the consistency hasn't been there. But hopefully you find that under Amorim.
One thing you will say is I think we definitely missed Dalot.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Dalot's actually gone under the radar. I know this community really appreciates him, but I think he's that. One thing I will say is I do think Lisandro Martinez is a leader. We've heard a lot about his mentality, but I think Dalot controls that back line. Ricky, would you agree with that? Maguire as well, potentially.
I think Dalot's played well, yeah. I think Maguire's been playing well. The players that played tonight, though, to me, Martinez was the main one. I don't think Lindelof was playing too badly. Got beat once by Kulusevski in the box, and he fired it across the face of the goal between his legs. But overall, I thought Lindelof was playing quite well. I think it was 1-0, was it? Was it second? When did Lindelof go off? Was it early second? Oh, it might have been 3-0. They got 2 goals quick in the second half, didn't they? But I thought Lindelof was playing okay. I really did, and I thought Yoro was playing well. Would we have done better with Dalot? Probably, but I couldn't say for absolute certain.
I think I could say for certain we would have. I'm going to be honest. Genuinely, just the way,
he's a leader, isn't he?
Just how organised we look at the back. We looked like a bit of a mess at the back, in my opinion. And I thought Yoro played well as well, which is. Yeah. But apart from that, I did think we looked really messy.
Yoro played to the right, and Dalot normally plays to the right. So
Dalot can play central as well.
You could easily argue that it's Maguire that we really missed, because it was Maguire. You know, he's that central kingpin that organises stuff. Yoro was playing in Dalot's place, and I thought Yoro played great. So
Dalot played central for ages with Mazraoui before Maguire got fit.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm sorry.
Dalot's been like the mainstay in our defence.
Even like you say, Lindelof this evening, certainly. I know he got the injury, but he kind of. It's amazing when you take these players, I'm not saying out of the comfort zone, but even Harry Maguire looks like a different player altogether in a back three, doesn't he? Because he's used to playing that with England, and now he just looks so much comfortable. You know, a year ago, if you'd have looked at a Manchester derby and you heard that Maguire was starting, you'd have every right to feel a bit of fear and think, what's he going to do? Is he? But he just looks a lot more comfortable.
It's interesting as well, Kev, because everyone thought Martinez would flourish in like a back three, on the left side, where he's allowed to go into the midfield with his possession, which he has done well. But that left channel, he does seem to get caught. So we'll have to see. Would you drop him out for Bournemouth? He's played a lot of games. Just give him a bit of a rest.
Who was talking about here?
Martinez.
It's your decision.
I probably would, but I mean, who have you got available? Obviously, Lindelof's gone off injured. Maguire should play. Probably Maguire, Dalot, and Yoro, but who's going to play to the left? Dalot, perhaps.
Maguire, I think. Maguire played to the left a lot for England.
Yeah.
I'm not saying drop him for the foreseeable future, and I actually don't think he will get dropped, because I think Amorim really likes him. He always plays. But I would be interested to see how Maguire, Dalot and Yoro do together.
Absolutely no issue with that. On paper, I think it looks strong.
The most comfortable player in that left-hand channel after Martinez, or even in front of Martinez, is Johnny Evans. He's played.
Johnny Evans is a shout.
Yeah, he's played half an hour, 40 minutes tonight, hasn't he?
And Ricky missed his goal. He went to the toilet.
Yeah, no, unbelievable.
I missed his goal. Who
scored? Johnny Evans.
It was a good corner.
4-2 down with in injury time, and I thought it's over this. Went to the toilet, came back, it was 4-3.
Let's run a poll on it. Should Martinez be benched against Bournemouth? Let's run a poll again on it and get your guys' opinion in. Keil Robinson says, move Martinez to midfield or cash in. Red Army says, I was right that Martinez would sack Ten Hag, and if he's not sold, he'll sack Amorim. Wouldn't get a lot of championship teams. I think that's very harsh.
That's
very harsh. Lee Geldat says, come on guys, you can't impede a keeper's arm when he's jumping for the ball, clear foul. My opinion is you've got to be stronger.
I've seen them given loads of times. I've seen them given, but it was one of them to me. Whereas if there was no VAR, was there? But if the referee would have given a free kick, VAR wouldn't have overturned it, and it's the same the other way around.
Do you think if there was VAR, they would have looked at that and would have ruled it out?
Probably not. Probably not.
Really?
I don't think they'd have ruled it out. No. I think once they do like to try and stick with the referee's opinion. I think, and if they think that it's not, it's not a howler. And I don't think it was a howler. It's a difficult one. So I don't think they'd have changed it. The referee didn't give a free kick. I think they'd have stuck with it.
Sanka Janasina says, why play this keeper in a quarter-final? Shaking my head. Hayden Hollandsworth says, love Dalot, but we need more productivity in that spot. Anyway, Bergval, 10 out of 10. Cheat against our backups, Tottenham following City model for a trophy. Keil Robinson says, I walk away happy. Clear who is first team, clear who to sell. Sell Anthony, Martinez, Dalot, Rashford, Eriksen, Casemiro, Bayindir, Lindelof, Mount and Shaw. Wants to sell the whole squad.
If only it was that easy, eh?
We'll go through that in a bit. Akhil Aravin says, triple captain Salah on Sunday against Spurs. I think it's because obviously their keeper's injured, so Forster's going to be in net again. If I'm Liverpool, I'm thinking I'm shooting from every angle. Rafa Vorodian says the discrepancy in attacking quality in the first half kind of costed us, in my opinion, because we had half chances but couldn't do much. We will talk a little bit about that. I do think, despite Eriksen playing really well, he's got to do better with his shots. Anthony was kind of non-existent in that role. We'll talk about it. But quickly, people are talking about selling Martinez, selling Dalot. Two mainstay players for Manchester United that do have quality. They do. But when you're talking about FFP and bringing money in to rebuild Amorim's squad, Kev, if you get a good offer for Martinez, if you get a good offer for Dalot, you considering that?
If it's me personally, then yes, I would. And I think from Amorim's position at this moment in time, he would look at it. It doesn't seem so long ago that there was apparently an offer on the table, or it's going to come in January for Dalot from Real Madrid, and they were, what was it, 50 million they were talking about? And I'm thinking, already I've just mentioned a Rashford, Garnacho, possibly 100 million for them too. You get 150 million for them free. And I know for Amorim's come in, I said this after the performance against Victoria Poulsen with Marcus Rashford in particular. And I said, the next day, I was the heat of the moment, I know we won 2-1 against Poulsen, but I was like, I could imagine that the next day, that Amorim's going to be on a payroll the next day just to double check how much Marcus Rashford was on. And I said, I know for a fact in his head, he will not be able to fathom and get over the fact of how much this player's, on. Yeah. And the fact that he's probably got players that he's coached and brought through whatever at Sporting Lisbon who are 3 times the player on probably 3 times less the amount of money that he's on. Yeah, and I'm sure he will want to go back to Sporting Lisbon. There'll be players that you talk about Gyökeres or whatever. That fee potentially could be less than what Erik Ten Hag paid for Anthony. That tells you everything you need to know at this moment in time. That's a player that's now ripping it up in Europe, doing it. And you can argue whatever, would anybody really heard about Anthony when we signed him and that was sanctioned for 90 million or whatever it was, close to that? No, but I'm sure Amorim will be working with Barada or whatever. He'll say, listen, if I can get, let's say, 200 million together, if I can get rid of the players that I want to get rid here that I know are surplus to requirements, and I can use that money to strengthen, I will have this team ticking, guaranteed, like the Sporting Lisbon team that, I had ticking.
I think for me, there's certain players that fall into the category, no, I won't sell them. Very few. There's certain players that fall into the category of, if you give me a good enough price, then yeah. And then there's certain players that fall into the category, let's get them sold. Do you know what I mean? There's like 3 sort of categories. I think Dalot and Martinez fall into the category for me, if you give me the right price. That's where they fall in. And
that's got to apply to every single player, though, Beth. Every single one.
Yeah, but...
You know, if somebody came, we've only just bought Euro, if somebody came in with 150 million quid, you'd have to take
Yeah,
it.
I know, but I'm talking about realism here. If
Mm.
someone came in and offered the same as what we paid for Euro, I'd say no. If
Yeah.
someone came in and offered 60 million for Dalot, even though I love Dalot, genuinely do, I think in this system, I would sell him for that money.
But you could
100%,
say...
because we've got Mazraoui for the right. You know, you can play. There's multiple players that can play on that right hand side. We need a left wing back, and I think for Dalot's sake, I think his absolute best position is a right back in a back four.
But is that being reactionary to Dalot and how he's performed this season? If you said a year ago under Erik ten Hag, if somebody come in for 60 million for Dalot, would you be selling him? I think you'd probably be looking and going, well, Dalot's been one of the most improved players under Erik ten Hag. You'd probably say, long term, you won't build your team around him, but you'd certainly say that he was a player that could be in the United starting 11 for the next 10 years or whatever. Or is it the style of play that's changed?
I would not be surprised one bit if Dalot is one of the players that the manager thinks he's a nailed-on starter. I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. He's, you know, he plays with wing backs. You've got to have a fantastic engine. You've got to be strong as an horse. He's Dalot, you know, and the quality from the left that you get from him is, you know, it needs to be better. But when he's on the right, he can get good balls in the box. But at the same time, you know, we're playing with one striker. Sometimes it's a bit overrated that you know, being able to get good crosses in, because sometimes it's not. I put a clip up of Bruno crossing one behind the goal against City, but there's only Ireland in the box anyway with about 4 City players around him. Do you understand what I mean?
People are laughing at you saying we'd get 60 mil for him.
Yeah.
He's not, no one's offering 60 mil. Let's be honest.
But strangely, Dalot is the one under Amorim who, if I'm Amorim, I would be looking and thinking, what's this lad all about? Because he hasn't actually performed. He did under Erik ten Hag. He got his flowers, fair enough. We sat here loads of times and said Dalot's been brilliant, but has he gone backwards? Is it the system?
Do you know what it is right now? He's playing on the left and he's a right-sider. I don't care what anyone says, right? He's doing a job on that left-hand side. There's no way that Amorim sees longevity of Dalot on the left. There's just no way. If I was just thinking to myself, and I've thought it for weeks, so it's like, you know, you're banging the same old drum here. If we had someone with quality, with a proper left foot on that left-hand side, in the space that Dalot gets, we'd be so much more balanced. We'd be so much better off. And that's not me disrespecting Dalot, because I think he's doing a job. He's not. He can, you know, put left-footed crosses in, but he's not. He's naturally a right footer. He would be so much better on the right. He would be in a consistent run of games. So it's whether he gets in first team on the right when everyone's fit. Does he? If you are, I mean, it's a squad game. You need more than one. So it's him and Mazraoui on that right. I know Mazraoui can play multiple positions. You need multiple people for each position. But this is what I mean when I say Dalot. I'm not saying sell Dalot, because if Dalot stays, like, I'm happy with that. I think he's a good squad player. But if someone came in with 40 million, I would seriously consider it.
I think
for the money you can reinvest.
One thing you have to take your hat off to and absolutely salute is the fact that Dalot was always, or has been for so long, the first choice kind of right back, hasn't he? Nobody's ever got anywhere near him, never really challenged him. Yes, when Luke Shaw was injured, he went on the left, but you really have to take your hat off to Mazraoui in this situation. The fact that he's come in, displaced him, and Mazraoui is nailed down, you know, that kind of right back spot, or the right hand side now is his own. You know, Wan-Bissaka was there for how many years or whatever, but Mazraoui's come in and looks that complete player that certainly under Amorim at the minute, you'd be looking at that and saying, I'm not taking this lad out of my team. And that is one of the main players at this moment in time that he can hang his hat on. He knows I'll send him out there. Even watching the Manchester derby back, you know, from last weekend, when he dispossesses Doku, and you've got Doku chasing Mazraoui down, and he has that one final fling at him just to try and bring him down. Couldn't get anywhere near him, you know, in the lead up to the goal, and he's just been absolutely unbelievable. It's probably more testament to Mazraoui, and he's hit the ground running. You know, the Dalot's had to go on the left side, because I don't know if it's an argument or a debate. Which one would you choose, Dalot or Mazraoui on the right?
I think
this moment in time.
I think having both would be brilliant as a rotation. But it's just, this is what I meant when I said, you know, if someone came in with a really good offer, if Mazraoui is going to be the first choice, say we do get proper left wing back in, that's the solution on the left. If Mazraoui is going to be the first choice on the right and someone came in with a very good offer for Dalot, you've got to consider it, because then he becomes a squad player. But he is a squad player who can then play on the left and the right. Would he want that? I don't know. Talks of Real Madrid being interested in January as a right back. And as a right, people laugh saying Real Madrid are interested. I think Dalot's a very good player when he's playing in a right back. In his preferred position. But it's just, is he going to have a first team place under Amorim? That's a question for Amorim. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll go through the players. You've got to ask yourself the question, if Real Madrid are interested in him, should we be selling him? Surely. It's a different system though, isn't it? It's a different system.
They are crying out for a right back, in fairness, but
it's still the argument still holds water, doesn't it? If they want him as their right back, should we be selling him?
One thing that I will say, Ricky, to kind of bring a little bit of positivity is, you look at the game today, Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. Tottenham 4, Manchester United 3. But shots, I know it's not all about shots, but Tottenham had 9, Man United had 20. On target, 6 for Spurs, 5 for United. Expected goals, Spurs 0.67, United 2.38. Touches in the opposition box, 24 for Spurs, 40 for Manchester United. Passes in the final third, 101 for Spurs, 140 for United. Possession, 46% Spurs, 54% United. And we're away from home. So we've had, stats-wise, a better performance. Also, if you look at it compared to the 3-0 loss at Old Trafford under Erik ten Hag, where it was a horrid day, the expected goals in that game was 0.98 for United, 5.33 for Spurs. This game, obviously, 0.78 for Tottenham, who won, 2.58 for United. So there is improvement. The foundations are there.
From Spurs' chances, their expected goals would be 0.78, yet they scored 4. That's mad.
It is mad, isn't it? But we were the better side.
Yeah.
And there is positives to take. I know some people will find it very hard in the aftermath of defeat, but like you say, was it really? I know it was 4-3, but I'm sure anybody that didn't watch it will look and say, bloody hell, that must have been an absolute thriller there, you know, and you can't, and the way the game swayed from side to side. But in that second half, I just thought, I said to you, didn't I, you know, there's one team here that can capitulate. It's Tottenham, and we had them on the ropes. You could tell. I said to you, Ange will not change this, and that's why it's playing into our hands, because United just continued to do what they were doing. Obviously, what Tottenham was doing at that moment in time wasn't working, and that's what allowed us into the game. Ange is very, very stubborn, and he will not change it. But I felt that played into our hands. But like you say, statistically, I know I always say that the main statistic is the scoreline, which is probably right, but more long-term, and the changes that he made this evening, 5 changes to the starting 11, I think there's positives to look at.
I'd rather be watching football where I can see improvements, I can see us going toe-to-toe with teams and just getting by result, which is what we've been doing previously. So it's the start of a journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's the start of a journey. And if it makes you guys feel any better, Spurs have drawn Liverpool in the next round.
Oh, no.
So that's who we would have drawn, if you put it like that, which we wouldn't have won over 2 legs, let's be honest. I mean, I doubt. Arsenal have Newcastle then, so we'll see how it plays out. I mean, this is what I wanted to question you guys on. I'll go Ricky on this one, and then we'll move to Kev. I've just seen this tweet here by Ryan Haber, who I've spoke to. He's a lovely guy, but I thought I'd bring it into the show. And it is, if we can sell Rashford in January, we really need to bring in a left back and a striker. I think Ahmad and Bruno as 10s will be enough until the summer, but we need someone to finish off the chances. Bruno put in multiple crosses that should have been tapped in tonight. Do you agree that if we do manage to sell Rashford in January, not part of the squad again tonight, and I'll get Ruben Amorim's quotes up in a second, do you believe we should invest that money into a striker rather than another number 10, or would you invest it into a number 10?
Probably a striker. I think we've got plenty of players that can play at 10.
Has to be for me.
Yeah, it'd have to be a striker, yeah.
I think that's one that you look back at Erik ten Hag, and I know there was that moment where we could have possibly gone in the market and spent the extra, I don't know, what was Højlund, let's say roughly 70 million. You know, there was that opportunity to get Harry Kane at that moment in time, but I think a lot of us at that time were like, we need that main striker and the understudy as well. The pressure that has been put on Rasmus Højlund from Eric Ten Hag's tenure and through now is just immense. You know, whenever he starts, you expect so much of him, but there's nobody there to compete with him. There's nobody from him to learn from. And you look back, so many great United sides. You know, you're talking 3 or 4 strikers, didn't you? You had competition for places. This moment in time, it's almost like if Rasmus is fit, then he plays, regardless of how he has played. But I mean, you've got Xerxes who's come into the fold this evening again. He looks
all right tonight.
Yeah, he did.
He's a funny old player. I thought he did all right at weekend as well. But sometimes he looks like a fish out of water occasionally.
Yeah, but he's not that striker. You know, he's admitted himself that's going to get you, I don't know, so let's say 15, 20 goals a season. Yeah. And maybe he will one day. I don't know whether he's trying to take the pressure off himself, but you certainly need, I'd be looking at another striker. I think we're very, very much lightweight there. I mean, God forbid, if anything happens to Rasmus Højlund, you know, injury-wise, you snookered big time.
Well, I was saying this when we were watching the game. It's weird because it feels like when Xerxes starts, he doesn't play well, and then Rasmus comes off the bench and does really well. When Rasmus starts, doesn't play that great, and then Xerxes comes off the bench and looks really good. Yeah, it's weird, apart from obviously the Bodo Glimt game when Højlund started and was really good, and the Everton game where Xerxes started and was really good. Apart from them two, it just, to me, and I do think Rasmus is our number one. I do think he's improving. I really do, and I do see potential in him. And I actually think Xerxes, you know, looks like he has a bit of promise. But there's no one who I'm like, that is the striker that's going to start every game. They are top quality. Do you know what I mean? And at United, you need someone like that. You see Isak at Newcastle, you see Haaland at City. You know, even Solanke at Spurs is kind of, you know, coming to life now. And I just think we need that top quality number 9. And I'm not writing off Xerxes or Rasmus. I think Rasmus really does have that potential. But it's just we need that top quality number 9, and it's like when you're already always thinking, should it be Xerxes, should it be Rasmus? Maybe it should be that top quality player to come in, and they can both start, you know, adapt. They can both start, you know, progressing their own games. They're both young. So if that doesn't, people will be like, oh, you were just saying last week how good Rasmus was doing. I still think Rasmus is doing really well. I'm just saying, you can't just rely on them two, is what I'm trying to say.
He's still rough around the edges. We know that there's room for improvement, but I think you could just take that pressure off him big time. You know, that time, if you look at the money that was spent, again, we were kind of discussing Ivan Toney at the time. If you could have brought the two of them in, you know, in that transfer window and had, you know, Rasmus. You've just mentioned then him coming off the bench. Sometimes he seems to be a lot better. Maybe he's a bit more comfortable being an impact player. That's somebody who's introduced into a game that's already started, as opposed to somebody who starts a game and struggles to kind of get into it. You know, a game is totally different depending whether you're chasing it or if you're winning a game as well. You know, a game is stretched at that point when you bring somebody on.
And his hold-up play and his, you know, his interlinking with the front players, he's getting a lot better, taking less touches, moving it quicker, 100%. That's something that Amorim's clearly worked with him on because he has mentioned it in the past. Yeah. But I still think his intelligence to make them runs into the box at the right time need to be better. You know, that instinct of where to be, because there was quite a few crosses and we've seen it regularly where he should be on the end of it, or at least taking a gamble.
The Mazraoui one in the second half, you know, when he cuts that ball back and he looked, and when we all seen it,
that was it.
There's nobody in the 6-yard box.
Mazraoui had a shot in
that. And he had to then, you know, he's fought. But in fairness to Mazraoui, he gets his head up, looks and thinks, there's nothing on here, I have to have a shot. You know, as opposed to, we've been used to these kind of forward players who, in that, regardless of whether Rasmus was there for a tap-in, Garnacho or Rashford, whoever it was, would have had a dig, you know, missed whatever top tier of the Stretford end. But that was a big kind of thing that you looked at this evening and thought, if there is somebody there, Mazraoui did get his head up and, you know, he would have put it on a plate for somebody, but he had to take that chance at the time, but it was unlucky as well. Puts it wide.
Let's finish the poll, should Martinez be dropped? And I'll see the results on that. Let's start a new poll that is, should Manchester United buy a striker in January? Or even should Manchester United buy Osimhen in January? That'd be a good one. By the way, should Martinez be dropped for the next game? Yes, he's 52%. No, he's 47%. So it's very close.
Split.
But I want to start a poll. Would you sign Osimhen / a striker in January? Because Osimhen could be available for 65 million. That I think United should take that opportunity if we have that money. If we can somehow move Rashford on, I think we have to go for it.
How much do you think you'll get for Rashford? This is what you were talking about, spending the money from Rashford on a striker.
Yeah.
You know, the wages that he's on, it's going to be ridiculously hard to... If he wants to stick...
You're going to take a
If
hit.
he doesn't want to take a cut in his wages, if he completely refuses to do that, you know, clubs are not going to want him. You know, there's plenty of clubs won't want him if you're going to give him away. If you've got to give him 350 grand a week. It's going to be hard getting a decent fee for it.
I think United will have to take a hit on the transfer fee for the wage, you know, to offset the wage. So say if people think Rashford's worth 40 million, I think United will have to sell him for like 25, 30.
I agree.
I think they'll do well to get that.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it, how far that's dropped, because he used to be £100 million player.
Well, money wages-wise, his wages are £1 million a month. That's £12 million in the first year.
365 grand a week, you know, when you look at something like that.
It's well over £1 million a month, isn't it?
I don't blame him in the least, you know what I mean? If I was at work and my boss said to me,
I'll
Kev,
give you this,
here you go, here's a pay rise, I'd say, nice one, mate.
I mean, well, this is a quote. Get your votes in on that poll. Do you think we should buy a striker in Jan?
I think we have to. I really do. I know he's going to try and get away with... The way it's going now, these two number 10s, it has transformed the kind of old front three. I think big time. I think he will probably look to nail down the two number 10s, but we need somebody. Honestly, I think you need to take that pressure off Rasmus.
I just think as well that front three with no Ahmad looks lacklustre, to say the least.
Lost for ideas.
Ahmad's the only one that really you think when he's on the pitch something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Like, he's quality, isn't he?
And apart from making things happen, the Manchester derby, you know, he was the one player that was chasing down lost causes. He's done it again this evening. You know, no divine right. What other player in that, well, maybe Rasmus to an extent, I know he did it in the Europa League, is going to chase down a goalkeeper like that? You know, usually somebody, they'll turn the back.
Bruno, to be fair.
Keeper's got it. Maybe Bruno, but...
I don't think I've ever seen Bruno nick it off a keeper or like that.
To actually do it...
The second goal, he did.
Not off the keeper, did he?
Well, off the... He did well.
Yeah, I mean exactly that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who else I saw scored a couple of goals like that, and people might laugh at me, but they're there, you can find them. Anthony Martial was good at that. Charging keepers down. And just timing it right so you get your foot there. Another player years ago who was fantastic at it was Dwight York.
Yeah, Dwight York, I was going to say.
He was fantastic at it.
Well, Amorim's been talking post-match, and I'll bring in, there's loads of quotes, but I'll bring in just ones, you know, that we can talk about a little bit. On the League Cup, he said, "We can't think winning silverware will fix everything. We are improving as a team. Our goal is to win the Premier League. Again. How long it will take, I don't know. We can see that the team is doing things better. They are understanding the game better. Physically, they are better. The staff and the fans, they feel it." Exactly what we were saying, basically. And I've not seen these quotes beforehand. Interesting that he says silverware like covers up the cracks sometimes, which it did for us in the past.
It's almost like a dig at Eric Ten Hag, isn't it?
You want to see the way you're playing. He got asked if he felt like Man United controlled the game. He said, yes, you feel it in the stadium. We were comfortable. We dominated possession. It was not the last pass, but the last shot that was the problem. When he got asked about what he learned, he said, tomorrow I think about tonight. Tonight I don't feel anything. There is nothing I can say to you about what is good. Tomorrow I can say a lot of things. Tonight we lost and we have to take a night to think about it. We cannot think that winning silverware makes everything okay. It will be a long way. We are improving, but our goal is to win the Premier League. And then he gets asked on if it's better for both parties if Marcus Rashford leaves in January. He said, tomorrow we have training. He will be then preparing for the next game. He is a United player and everyone has a future at Manchester United. Obviously, you know, he plays the media very well.
It's very refreshing to listen to, I must say. And for that, I'm sure he's not openly digging out Eric Ten Hag, but we did have to listen to Ten Hag saying that apart from Manchester City, you know, United had won the most trophies in the last couple of years and this and that, and we were like, come on, mate, you know, are you deluded or what? You know, fair enough, we won a Carabao Cup. Yes, the FA Cup was a great day as well, but to an extent, of course it papered over the cracks. We were absolutely dog shit. You know, we were waiting every game, from game to game going, when is this Ten Hag ball going to kick in? You know, when's this consistency? And it never happened. But yeah, all right, we had a couple of cup runs. Yes, we lost an FA Cup final as well. But you kind of, in terms of the league, you know, you've already seen more under Ruben Amorim as to what an idea is, playing out from the back. And yes, mistakes will happen, but like you just said as well before, you know, in a game like that this evening, yeah, it's tough to take, but at least we've gone there and give it a bloody good go. You know, it's not getting absolutely whooped under Eric Ten Hag 3-0 by Tottenham.
Like,
you know,
where just getting slashed
where we've
open.
just been absolutely laid down and go on, tickle me belly. You know, there you go, 3 points, take the lot. It's totally different now.
Well, got some super chats in. The Duke says sign 2 centre backs, left foot dominant, and Martinez and Ugarte in the midfield. Both would give us dominant tackling and vision passing going forward.
I don't get this Martinez in midfield. There's a lot of people keep mentioning this.
Don't think he's mobile enough.
I might be wrong, I don't know.
Vinny Red One says, not fussed with the result, team's in the right direction. Rasmus doesn't have position nailed. Xerxes growing immense. Play better football with him in the side. At Kill Aravin says, won't be surprised Amorim trying Martinez as a CDM. A left-footed CDM who can read games, huge positive for us, especially when he's so good on the ball. Terence Robbins says, the team shows more effort without player FC. Mazraoui says, centre-backs need to be stronger, like Kev and his hard abs.
There we go.
Naim Rashid says, I would get Frimpong to compete with Mazraoui, otherwise he will look like Dalot. Ali State says, Dalot is great right back in a 4-back system, but on the left of a 6-back system, he is not it. By the way, Martinez is one of our best at the back, but if you use him between Lindelof and Dalot, poor guy. Broadmon says, it's about accepting the role the manager gives you. Ultimately, that's what Ruben wants. Accept the role I'm offering and do the job. Enjoy Writing says, hi Beth, at least they had a go until the end. You're easy to please. Naim Rashid says, they're reducing Christmas bonuses, striker in January coming. Broadmon says, clubs that are buying in Jan are looking for a player to help them. How does an out-of-form Rashford help anyone? Sashin says, Ahmad, what a talent we've got, ability and effort. Ten Hag consistently picking Anthony, Rashford and Garnacho ahead of him is a crime against humanity. It's something I would never be able to understand, genuinely. I don't think Martinez will be a CDM, I'm going to be honest, but a lot of people.
I don't see it. Listen, if he wants to trial it, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it, but
I would be.
I think
to be honest.
My God, there's better
I don't think
players.
He's mobile enough.
We've got enough midfield players, haven't we?
I tell you, but from the comments, I mean, Ugarte has nailed down. I mean, that is somebody. I keep saying he's just in terms of performance level. He's played under Amorim before, so he knows exactly what's expected.
Well, you're looking right now at our transfer window this summer. It's probably the first transfer window we've got done pretty well in a long time.
In terms of the players.
Ugarte looks class. Yeah. Dalot's been great. Mazraoui's been fantastic. Okay, yeah, there's a question mark on Xerxes, but you never absolutely get 10 out of 10s. But Xerxes is looking a bit more promising. Yeah. We'll see how it progresses. But we are going to go through the full squad. We are going to do that quickly, because there is a few players we've not talked about, but we'll talk about them when we go through it. For example, Anthony, Eriksen, Garnacho coming off the bench and stuff. But man of the match for Manchester United today, guys. We'll do that first to finish up on the Tottenham game.
I think I just mentioned mine then anyway. I'm going to go with Ugarte.
Yeah, I think that's a shout.
I think just very positive again. He just seems to be getting better, stronger. He's just very good at doing the things that other players are not comfortable doing. When you get that blend in the midfield right, when he's breaking up the play, he just seems to be very, very good at doing, like I say, the work that others are not prepared to do.
I think Ugarte had a good game. I think Eriksen played really well, and I think Yoro played well. And I think between those three for me. When you think
that Yoro hasn't played, or let's say minutes wise, that was very impressive. That
I'd probably just about go for Ugarte, but I do think Yoro played well, and I think Eriksen played well. And I said before the game, by the way, that one thing, I think the manager's doing fine. I'm really, really impressed with the way it's going. But he seems to have got a thing against it. He's not, look, I'm never going to agree with everything. And I thought Eriksen was our best player for a few games before he came in. And then he's played in one game against Ipswich. Then he's not played him since. He's brought him back in the team tonight. And for me, in the first half, he was our best player. He's the one who's pulling the strings, giving all the best passes. And took him off after, 55 minutes, an hour. I was going to say something else about it. I just think he's underrating Christian. That's what I was going to say about it. We've just played. Look, I know he's got to make changes, but people will say, yeah, but we lost and we did. You know, we went 3-0 down or whatever. But when 2, 3 or 4 players are getting a game, I just feel sorry for Eriksen that he didn't get a game and play with Ahmad and play with Mainu. Do you understand what I mean?
He's made them 5 changes,
you know, all them
4,
changes, and he comes in, and despite how well he played, there's 1 or 2 other players not playing so well.
You'd like to see him play with the so-called better players around him.
I think we could have looked a lot better with Eriksen playing with 1 or 2 other players in the lineup.
I was thinking about Ricky the other day. I had a comment, and it did actually get me thinking. It said, with this new system now in the number 10s, somebody had left a comment, I'm sure it was on one of the fan forums we did, and it said, I would have loved to have seen Prime Wanmata in the number 10 role. And I was like,
oh, that would have been
and then I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, because you've got the 2 number 10s.
Imagine Mata and Ahmad playing together.
Oh, I was like, you know, when you've got 2 players there, football, IQ, you talk about intelligence, I was like, wow. And I was like, you know, I was thinking, wow. Go on, Ricky. But that would have been impressive to see.
Yeah, I mean, Eriksen will go through it. I thought his playmaking's fantastic. His crossfield passes and, you know, how he's on the ball. It's just, I do think he had to do better with his shots, I'm going to be honest. He had a couple of opportunities to put us ahead and it just weren't good enough. Once is okay. Multiple times, just weak shots down the middle of the goal. It's not good enough. But he shows glimpses, but again, not the future for me, not the future. But anyway,
not the future, no, but he's still the best player today.
Are you giving him man of the match?
Who, Eriksen?
Yeah.
No, I'll give it to Ugarte, but he's not far behind.
I was going to give it to Ugarte, but I just want to give a shout out to Ahmad because I thought he changed the game when he came on.
Yeah. What he's doing at this moment in time is just...
Ahmad's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Magic moment when he scored that goal to close down the keeper.
Yeah.
Johnny Evans' header, maybe.
Can't wait to see Johnny Evans' header. I've still not seen it.
That's got to be Ricky's, hasn't it?
Yeah, you're going to have to clip that up in the morning. Ahmad's corner.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's been practising them because our corners need to improve 100%. But let's go through this squad. We've got Mazraoui. He says, I'm definitely drinking rum. I wish it was. Genuinely wish it was. But tomorrow it will be. Friday night. Today, it's just water, I can assure you. But let's go through this squad. We'll do it quite quickly. Starting off, buying day. Just tell me, sell, keep, or if you get a decent price, like I was saying. So, buying day.
On this evening's performance,
sell.
I was going to say
it's
sell.
a sell. It's a sell for me. Andre Nana.
Keep.
100%.
Tom Heaton, I'm not even going to bother doing. Love you, Tom. But Victor Lindelof, this is a good one.
What's the 3 options? Keep or?
Keep, sell, or decent price, and then I'll sell him.
Decent price.
Sell.
The reason being is, I'm sorry, we can't afford to be carrying injury-prone players. And I felt for him.
At the minute.
Felt for him. He looked gutted. 2 injury-prone.
He's falling now into the category. You know, you've got Luke Shaw, Mason Mount. Again, we don't know what's happening with him, but he keeps breaking down. Have you got enough passengers there already to... Lindelof's coming towards the end of his career.
The difficulty is with this is... Obviously, you need a squad, and the reason that you have a squad is that if somebody gets injured, you need backups, and Lindelof's a backup, so there's all that. But
he's out of contract soon.
At the age that he's at, and the injuries that he's getting, you won't be able to sell him. You might be able to give him away, but I don't think you better sell him.
He goes on a free next year.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but that's
so
what I'm...
keep him then.
Yeah, but no, but we're basically just saying
but
if we were in charge...
trying to get money together, are we, to buy other players?
Yeah, but if we're basically saying if we were in charge, would they be going or would they be staying?
If I was in charge, I'd be keeping him.
Okay, well let's to make it more logical for Ricky, we'll do keep or are you keeping him or are they going? Don't think about the price.
Keep
are you
or
keeping
sell?
him or are they going?
I'd keep him.
You're keeping him. So you're keeping someone who's injury prone. Taking up a space for when you could get someone in who can play more
but
games.
what have you got to give to get somebody else in? You've got to have a squad, Beth. If I'm the manager of this team, I'm looking at my
But the
squad
whole
and thinking, I
point
need
is-
20 players in this squad. And if I need to get some other players in, how much is it going to cost? You're looking at it
I would rather.
Do you think it's dead easy to just go and get another
Yeah,
player?
but if he's as injury prone as he is now, he's hardly, how many games are you just going to keep him
But
in the
I would
squad to
rather
get
just
3 or
cut-
4 games a season out of him? Or?
I would rather just cut ties, get an upgrade, and then maybe someone who's starting now becomes a squad player. Do you know what I mean? Improve the team.
Bring
You
somebody
need
up through the
quality
youth
to go up.
academy that's at least going to be available and fit and raring to go, possibly, but...
Right, we'll move on anyway. Ricky's keeping Lindelof.
I'm talking about the quality of a footballer, and if he's one of your squad members as a centre back, that's fine. If you want to convince me,
What's the point? He's not
he's
available.
completely injury prone and he's never going to be fit to play. Fair enough.
That's what happens when you bring Lindelof in so early on.
Well,
we could do another hour on
Same's
Lindelof.
got to apply to Luke Shaw, hasn't it? And he's
Yeah.
an absolutely fantastic
We'll get on to
player.
him in a
Well,
second. Mazraoui, keep.
Keep.
Oh yes,
Dalot,
Keep.
Maguire,
Keep.
I would keep him.
I would actually. He has had what he's done recently. 100%.
Martinez.
Sell.
I'm going to keep. And I don't know how you can say sell Martinez and keep Lindelof as well, and you're talking about a squad game.
Well, how much are you going to get for Martinez? 30 million? How much are you going to get for Lindelof?
Well, yeah, all right, it's subjective. It does come down to what you think you would get for Martinez. We spent 50 million on him. The least you'd want the same money back for him. If you're going to sell him for 30, then you're undercutting yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you are, but
Yeah.
that's going to happen. It happens all the time,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
For me, Martinez would be keep for now, but the jury's out and I'm seriously watching him. One thing I would say though, comes to the summer and a team comes in and you say, oh, I'll give you 50 million for Martinez, I would probably sell. That's where I'm at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Malacia, sell. He's not getting it.
Probably so.
He would have started today if Amorim rated him. He would have. Didn't. Yoro, keep,
Yeah.
obviously. Dalot,
Keep.
That's a tough one, that I think. Again, this comes down to that price thing. Yeah, I'll say keep. But if Real Madrid did come in with something like 60 million...
Dalot again, I honestly love him. I really do. I think he's a top
Versatile
guy
as well.
I think he's a versatile squad player, and you've got to think about all of his positive attributes, and there are multiple. There's a lot.
You're not going to say sell him, eh, Beth? Surely.
No, there's a lot to be. There's a lot to be said for a player that can play on both sides.
Yeah, that is a big thing.
Even though he is a lot better on the right, I can't lie. A player that has a good mentality, trains super hard, sets the right examples. There is a lot to be said for that. It would have to be a very, very good offer for me to consider selling him. But if a very good offer came in, based on this system, I would consider it. But it'd have to be a very good offer because I do think he is a worthwhile member of the squad.
Yeah.
Don't think at the moment he's performing good enough to be a starter, though.
Not many
to be
players
honest.
that can play as comfortably, well, I say as comfortably, but especially to be able to play on the left and the right. Dennis Irwin back in the day, wasn't it? He was...
Luke Shaw.
I think based on the injury record,
yeah.
I think I'm trying to think of it logically. His injury record's that bad. How much would you get for him? I think
Take his age into
if I was
consideration.
literally the manager of this team now, I would want to speak to the doctors, speak to the medical staff, and say, is this going to carry on? Is it how ridiculous is it getting? Will he play again for any length of time? And if you think, and you can also speak to the player about taking a wage cut. I remember. I think Fergie made a mistake. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, Fergie, but sold Ronnie Johnson to Aston Villa. And when Ronnie Johnson went to Aston Villa agreed a deal with him where he only got paid. I mean, he got some sort of money, but hardly anything. He got hardly anything if he didn't play, and he got a good wage if he played. So you could agree. Could you go with? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
There's ways and means. To me, I would keep Luke Shaw if it suited in all sorts of ways. And one way that it definitely suits is that if he is fit, he's an absolutely fantastic player.
Yeah.
So
I think Michael Owen, Sir Alex Ferguson brought him on a similar thing because of his track injury record, past injury record, that, you know, he was on a basic wage, but then it was all built up on whether he started, whether he come off the bench, whether he scored, whether the team won when he played, and so they were quite clever with things like that. But the Luke Shaw one, it's difficult, but I do think at his age now and the injuries that he's had, like you say, you know, if you can have that conversation, but he's not getting any younger, is he?
What can you get for him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So if you can agree a small wage for him, and you think he's got any chance of being fit,
try and manage him.
Anyway.
For me, it's a see you later. If you can. I don't know who would go for him. And again, if you're asking me on a, you know, is Shaw a top player when he's fit? Absolutely.
He's up there.
Wouldn't want to sell him in a million years if he could stay fit, but he can't. So
centre back, left back, you know,
you need to get him out so someone who's actually got a chance of being available on a consistent basis and being a consistent player at United can have their opportunity and can have that wage. Johnny Evans, he's going to go at the end of the season.
He's going to go anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah, great serving.
Midfielders, okay, we'll try and be a bit quicker. Mason Mount.
Keep. Although, again, same serious injury problems.
Same conversation
it applies to
with
Lindelof and it applies to Shaw.
Yeah, give it the same energy.
For me, I'm going to be honest, I've been Team Mount all the way, fed up with his injuries, and I don't see it getting any better. So if it stays like that, sell.
Ruthless.
I'm honestly, I'm just done with always fit again. Always stayed fit for a few games.
Mad, done it?
And then he's injured. And I feel for him because
Same thing applies though. You won't get anything for it if it stays like that. It's a catch-22 situation.
He doesn't want to be injured, does he?
No.
Like, you've seen his face. I feel for the guy. If he could stay fit, he has a future. But I'm not going through this. Oh, he's injured again. Yeah. Give someone the number 7 who actually can stay fit and perform.
Yeah, I was devastated for him when he come off in the derby. You could tell he was affected by it. You know, he wasn't somebody who just thought, oh, well, sod it, I'm still getting me 150 grand a week or whatever, and trudged off the pitch. You could tell he was absolutely devastated because it's a major setback for him on a personal level as well.
But you've got to be ruthless when you're building a team. You can't afford to carry passengers. Bruno.
Sell.
Keep.
Ericsson.
Keep.
Oh, Ricky.
I mean, what are you going to... You can't sell him, can you? What can you sell him for? What can you sell him for? You can't get anything for him.
No, he's going to go on a free, but like...
Yeah, keep him. He's still a great player. Why not keep him?
Maybe keep him.
If you can't get any money for him and he's the top player, it don't make sense.
I get what Ricky's saying.
I know, but like,
Bruno, you might get 50 million.
Has he got a future under Amorim though?
Well, we're talking about you have got to take it season by season. I know we want to win the league, but hardly any of these players are good enough to win the league. We need players who are going to help us get step by step. We need players who are going to get us in the top 4 next season. Ericsson's good enough for that, easily.
As a squad player.
The one thing I would say actually is, as a squad player, I think he's good enough on the ball. So I'd probably keep him as a squad player. Now I'm more thinking about it.
You could argue and go, you know, I don't know, Brentford might give you 100 grand for him, and then but you might weigh it up and go, well, actually, he's probably worth more to us, you know, to keep them in the squad as a squad player.
You're going to let him go for nothing. I'd keep him.
Yeah. Next one is Casemiro. Sell.
Yeah.
Don't say what would you get for him. Keep or sell.
It has.
Well, I would have to say that.
Oh,
we have got to get rid of him.
Would you keep him or not?
100%.
The wages are astronomical.
He's on 350.
Doesn't matter. Anything you can do.
If you could get rid of him for 10 million,
you've got to accept the fact you're going to lose money, but he needs to get off the books.
And you have to look at the main packages. Even if you sell him for 10 million, you're then freeing up 300 grand a week.
You'd have to basically give him away. You're saving 350 grand a week if you give him away.
He genuinely...
If you can give him away, because he's going to have to say to another club, I want 350 grand a week.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is as well? It's like...
Give him away.
If he can't get on the pitch...
It's a right mess, isn't it?
If he can't get on the pitch for this game, he's not going to be a future under Amorim. And I think Casemiro is a professional at his age, what he's won and his mentality. I know he's on a big wage, but I don't think he'll just wait out on the bench at United. I think he'll want to go and play.
I'd like to think he's a bit more professional than I'm going to sit this one out, you know, for the next 2 years or whatever, even though I'm not getting in the team. But Yeah, it's like you say, the previous regime and some of these contracts that were handed
What I
out.
loved about him was the sheer joy on his face when Ahmad scored that winning goal.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
On him and Lindelof. Sheer
Team
joy.
player.
Proper, love it.
You can see what it meant to him.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from him.
Ugarte,
Keep.
definite keep,
100%.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Kobe Mainu,
Keep.
Yeah.
Rasmus Højlund,
Keep.
keep, I would.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford,
Sell.
sell.
Yeah.
Or give away. Just get the 350 grand off your bit.
Joshua Zirkzee,
Keep.
I would keep
Do you know what?
him.
If I got, I was going to say that falls into the category that if
someone
an
came and
interesting
give the
bid
money
come
that
in,
we give,
I think I would.
if someone came in with 35 mil like we paid, I'd say,
Possibly.
all right,
Well, then I could take that
yeah,
and
I would
put
take
30
it.
million to it and get Gyökeres from.
It's hard
Do you know
work.
what I mean?
It's hard work getting good strikers these days, though. It's,
There's one at Sporting Lisbon that Amarim's very familiar with. I'm sure if you can get the money from down the side of the couch at Carrington and get that together for him, it's.
At the end of the day, if we're going to buy another striker, which we'd like to think we are, Zirkzee probably, even though he can play
And we
as a
only
10,
play with one.
I'm not writing Zirkzee off either.
you probably are going to have to get rid of either Højlund or Zirkzee. Zirkzee was cheaper to bring in. Højlund has shown a lot of promise. Zirkzee he's shown glimpses, but we're United. We really do need to set our standard quite high. And if someone came in and offered that 30 million we paid for him, like Kev said, if you're investing that into a Gyökeres or an Osman or someone of real quality, you would take it, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
So
it makes sense. Although Zirkzee's, he's not a 9 or a 10, is it? They say he's like a 9.5. So in that sense, he is a bit different to anything else we've got. Ricky likes him. He always says he's a big horse. Don't you? He always say he's a big horse. You like big horses, you.
I think he's the perfect example of if the offer was right.
Yeah,
One of them.
I think that applies.
Okay,
agree with
next up you have Ahmad, keep.
Wow.
Garnacho.
Sell.
I think I would.
Yeah,
I think he falls into the category of if somebody. I mean, I've been told for the last 2 years through social media experts that Garnacho's going to end up at Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? Well, if Real Madrid are going to stump up something daft, and by daft, if you weigh up what Garnacho's transfer value be at this moment in
50,
time,
60 million perhaps.
I said I'd want 70 for him.
consider it. I think 70 million's madness. But if somebody wanted to pay, if somebody paid that, see you later, mate. Again, I think there's better players out there, more established better players that you better reinvest that money in. Probably better get a few players for that, in fact, if you spent it correctly. When you look at Mazraoui and what was it, Dalot were 50 million for the two of them.
I'd be reluctant to sell just because of his age, and I do think he has potential. But, like I said on the build-up show, I don't see where he works in this system.
I don't.
If we were still playing a 4-3-3, I'd say keep. But in this system, I don't see where he works. He's not good enough to play number 10, and he's not strong enough to be a wing-back. Therefore, if a good offer came in, I'm talking a good offer, I would sell, and I think Amorim would as well.
Yeah.
I agree.
His role has been made redundant by this manager because, like you've just said, unless you're going to be a wing-back, which I don't think he has it in him, and he's certainly not, I don't think he's good enough, ball retention-wise, he's not good enough to play as a number 10.
Last but not least, Anthony. Sell.
Sell.
Yeah, so.
I think tonight was a failed audition.
Big time.
We knew he was never going to work in the 10 anyway. If you just look at his performance compared to Ahmad's when he came on, it's literally chalk and cheese. And the quality is so different. But I honestly think Amorim, as much as, you know, I like him, I think Amorim dropped the ball tonight. I think he should have played him as a wing-back. I think that is where his
A left wing back
best
as well, as
position
we
would have
discussed
been.
before the game.
I genuinely believe that Anthony could do a better job at left wing back than in terms of going forward than what Dalot can because he's got that left foot. But
I don't know whether it's not.
Dalot's better defensively.
If he's not,
Dalot was better
It's a right
defensively.
tricky one.
I don't know whether it's not because
You know, who did they have playing down the right tonight? And Dalot did some fantastic defensive work tonight. You know, nicking the ball off people and.
But in terms of Anthony, was well off it, man. You
True,
know,
actually. But sell.
Well, we always fans in general always think about what can happen if you're going forward. But if he does better than Dalot going forward, then we let I was going to say let 4 in, which we did. But if you're going to let 4 in at the other end, it don't matter. You know what I mean?
True. True. To be fair, they didn't have much.
Yeah.
They didn't have much change out of Dalot defensively. No. So yeah. But on Anthony, I think we've all said sell, haven't we? Yeah. So that's where we're at. Last super chats in here. Book Red says we are solely relying on Ahmad. We need more Ahmads. I agree. Akil says I say give the 7 to Ahmad. Also, what's our best 11? I think if Mount does go, you've got to hold that 7 for a bit because it's just not worked with anyone who's had it really recently. Enjoy Writing says my gut says Amorim picked the wrong team. I don't think he did. I think he's got a squad to work with. He's got to rotate. He's got to make changes. He
did mention there was tired legs, didn't he, from Sunday? So you have to take that into consideration. It took a lot out the players that played there Sunday. What they were asked to do.
I don't think he should have picked Binder, and I think Anthony should have played wing back. But apart from that, I can't complain, to be honest with you, and that's just me being a bit picky. But anyway, guys, that's the show. We went 10 minutes over as well on Thursday night. Thank you for staying with us.
Therapy for him.
But look, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I know a lot of people are asking us what our best 11s would be. We'll save that for the next show because I think that's something that it'd be really interesting to see what people would say on that, because we have a lot more clarity now over how players perform in this Amorim system. We've seen the majority of the squad, if not all of the squad, play there. So, yeah, I'd love to do that on a show. So stay tuned for that in the future. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Before we go, I do ask you, please subscribe to the United Stand. If you haven't already, we are so close to 2 million subscribers.
How close?
We are currently on 1,995,527. So we are 5...
Ricky trying to work that out in his head. He's
no, we're not. We're 4,000 off. Never mind.
How much do you think?
Is that all?
Yeah, we're 4,000 off. We're 4,000 off.
It was 15,000 off only a couple of days ago.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So we are close. So please subscribe, like the video, share it about, share it to your friends and stuff, and
Sunday
hopefully new subscribers will subscribe. I want to get there before the new year, but I don't know if we will.
I do.
For the new year?
Yeah, we're not.
Well, stay tuned for Sunday. Anyway, we'll love you and leave you. You back for Sunday, Kev?
Yes.
Yes, Ricky?
Big day, Sunday.
I'll be here.
Bournemouth.
Yeah.
3 points in the league. We did say it on the build-up show.
We're doing a watch-along,
Let's hope we get it.
Sunday. Oh, are we?
I'm keeping that quiet. Love you and leave you guys. See you on the next one.